46-year-old Gonzalo Lopez is serving a life sentence for capital murder.
Gonzalo Artemio Lopez was a dangerous criminal known for multiple murders and an infamous prison escape. Born on February 10, 1976, he committed his first murder in 2005. In that incident, Lopez kidnapped and killed a man in Weslaco, Texas. He was convicted of this crime, charged with capital murder, and sentenced to life in prison. However, the story doesn't end there. In May 2022, Lopez made headlines around the world when he managed to escape from prison custody. He was being transported on a prison bus when he assaulted a correctional officer and somehow got away. After escaping, he became a wanted fugitive. The police and other law enforcement officers searched for him, but he managed to stay on the run for about 3 weeks. During his time as a fugitive, Lopez was extremely dangerous. On June 2, 2022, he broke into a ranch where a family was staying. Tragically, he killed 5 members of the same family, including 3 children. This brutal act of violence shocked everyone. After committing these murders, Lopez stole weapons and a pickup truck from the ranch, making his escape even more concerning for the authorities. Later that same day, police finally tracked him down. There was a high-speed chase, and Lopez tried to outrun the police. But eventually, the chase led to a deadly confrontation. In a shootout with the police, Lopez was shot and killed. His death brought an end to his violent spree, but it left behind a trail of heartbreak and tragedy. Let's know in detail his criminal story. Lopez's criminal history goes way back, starting in 1994. He got into trouble for some serious things. He was convicted of aggravated assault, which means he attacked someone really badly. He also got in trouble for having marijuana and for something called failure to stop and render aid, which is when you hit someone with a car and don't stop to help. Plus, he was caught using a vehicle without permission. In 1996, all these charges added up, and he was sentenced to 8 years in prison for everything he had done. Then, in 2004, things got even more intense. On May 11th, Lopez was in a car, but this time he wasn't driving. He was just a passenger, but the situation quickly got out of control. 2 sheriff's deputies in Zapata County saw the car speeding, so they tried to stop it. Instead of pulling over, the driver decided to speed up and try to escape the police. This started a dangerous high-speed chase involving officers from 2 different counties, Zapata County and Webb County. During the chase, things got really scary. The driver and Lopez too started shooting at the police officers. They were both trying to get away by any means necessary. After a while, the car came to a stop, and both Lopez and the driver jumped out and ran away on foot. The police weren't able to catch them right away. However, the driver didn't stay free for long. The very next day, the police managed to catch him, and he was sentenced to 60 years in prison. He had shot at the police during the chase, which made things much worse for him, and that's why his sentence was so long. It was for trying to kill a police officer. But Lopez wasn't caught. After the chase, he managed to stay on the run. The police kept looking for him, but Lopez was able to escape and avoid being captured for a while. This event shows just how dangerous Lopez was, not only for his past crimes, but also for being involved in such a violent, high-speed chase and shooting at police officers. It was a very serious situation. On March 23, 2005, Lopez and someone known only as Rick broke into the home of Jose Guadalupe Ramirez, a 37-year-old living in Weslaco, Texas. They were armed with guns and acted very violently. First, they tied up Ramirez and then pointed their guns at his wife, scaring her. After that, they kidnapped Ramirez, forcing him into a red car. Later that night, Ramirez's wife got a phone call from him. He told her he was okay, trying to reassure her. However, after a while, the calls stopped and she couldn't reach him anymore. Worried and scared, the next morning, Ramirez's wife called the police to report that her husband had been kidnapped. Now here's where things get darker. Lopez and Rick weren't just random criminals. They were working for a dangerous drug cartel called La Mana, based in Tamaulipas, Mexico. The leader of this cartel was a man named Juan Lerma. According to Lopez, Lerma had ordered them to kidnap Ramirez. Why? Because Ramirez supposedly owed the cartel a large amount of money, $40,000. This was money he owed after the cartel had given him drugs like marijuana and cocaine, and he hadn't paid them back. After kidnapping Ramirez, Lopez and Rick took him to Lopez's mother's house. They kept him tied up inside a shed, holding him captive. They demanded a ransom from Ramirez's family, forcing them to hand over 3 trucks, some drugs, and money. Once they got what they wanted, the trucks went to the cartel leader Lerma, while Lopez and Rick decided to keep the money and drugs for themselves. Unfortunately, the situation took a tragic turn. Lerma ordered Lopez and Rick to kill Ramirez. Following this cruel order, later that same night, Lopez took a pickaxe and ended Ramirez's life. Ramirez suffered 3 deadly blows to the head. After killing him, they buried his body in a nearby wooded area to hide the crime. When authorities later found the body and performed an autopsy, it confirmed that Ramirez had died from those brutal wounds to his head. In April 2005, after getting a tip from a secret informant, the police arrested a man named Lopez. The reason for the arrest? Lopez was believed to be involved in a serious crime, kidnapping and murder. Ramirez's wife, who had witnessed everything, identified Lopez in a police lineup as one of the men who had broken into her house and taken her husband away. A little later that month, Lopez told the police where he had buried Ramirez's body. This was a big moment because it helped close a major part of the case. But even though he led the authorities to the body, Lopez refused to tell them who his partner was. He never gave up the name of the person who helped him commit this terrible crime. The authorities knew there was someone else involved, but Lopez kept quiet about it. Fast forward to February 14th, 2006, and Lopez went to trial for the kidnapping and murder of Ramirez. The trial didn't take long. Just 2 days later, on February 16th, the jury found Lopez guilty of capital murder and aggravated kidnapping. Because of this, Lopez was sentenced to life in prison. Even though the trial was over, the mysterious accomplice, known only as Rick, was never found or identified. It's as if this person just disappeared. But this wasn't the end of Lopez's story. While he was in prison, the police uncovered even more information about his past. They found out that he had been involved in a dangerous car chase and had shot at police officers back in 2004. This new information led to another trial. On December 13, 2007, Lopez was found guilty of trying to kill a police officer during that chase. For this crime, he received another life sentence. On May 12, 2022, something serious happened during a prison transport in Texas. There were 16 prisoners on a bus, all being taken to medical appointments. 2 experienced prison officers were on the bus to keep things under control. But one of the prisoners, named Lopez, had other plans. Lopez somehow got his handcuffs off. He then found a sharp object and used it to cut through a metal door inside the bus. This door was important because it kept the prisoners separated from the driver. Once Lopez cut through the door, he crawled into the driver's section. Things quickly got dangerous when Lopez attacked the officer driving the bus. He stabbed the officer, trying to take control. Because of the attack, the bus had to stop. At this point, a big fight started between Lopez and the 2 prison officers. While they were all struggling, Lopez managed to get off the bus. The officers tried to follow him, but Lopez was quick. He jumped back onto the bus before the officers could stop him. This time, he was in control of the bus, and no officers were left on board. Lopez drove away with the bus, and the officers did what they could. They started shooting at the bus tires, hoping to stop it. They managed to hit the tires, but Lopez still drove the bus for about a mile. Eventually, the damaged bus wrecked and couldn't go any further. But Lopez didn't stop there. He ran from the bus and disappeared into nearby woods, successfully escaping the officers and law enforcement. The next day, May 13th, Lopez was officially added to the Texas 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list. Authorities wanted to catch him quickly, so they increased the reward for any information about his location to $50,000. Despite the chaos, the officers who were injured in the fight recovered. Even the bus driver, who had been stabbed, did not have life-threatening injuries. Law enforcement worked hard to find Lopez after he escaped, but his ability to slip away from such a heavily guarded situation made it clear that he was a dangerous and clever fugitive. On June 2, 2022, something terrible happened at a ranch in Centerville, Texas. Lopez broke into a ranch that belonged to the Collins family. What he did next was heartbreaking. He killed 5 members of the family: 66-year-old Mark Collins and his 4 grandchildren. The grandchildren were brothers: 18-year-old Waylon Collins, 16-year-old Carson Collins, 11-year-old Hudson Collins, and their cousin, 11-year-old Bryson Collins. It was a tragedy that shook the entire community. The medical team later revealed how the family members had been killed. All of them died from both gunshot wounds and stab wounds. This means they were shot and stabbed during the attack. It was a horrible scene, and the pain the family must have gone through is unimaginable. After killing the family, Lopez didn't stop there. He stole several guns from the ranch, including an AR-15 rifle. This is a powerful weapon that can do a lot of damage. But Lopez wasn't finished. He also took the family's white pickup truck, a 1999 Chevrolet Silverado, and used it to run away from the ranch. That same day, a relative of the Collins family became worried. They hadn't heard from Mark Collins or anyone else at the ranch, which was unusual.
Those kids were bright, shining stars, and we coached them through baseball. And these next few days are going to be tough on all of us.
Feeling concerned, the relative called the police to check on them. Around 6 p.m., police officers arrived at the ranch to see what was going on. When they got there, they found something no one ever wants to see: the bodies of all 5 family members. The police knew right away that something terrible had happened. As soon as the police realized that Lopez had stolen the family's guns and their pickup truck, they wasted no time. They immediately named Lopez as the main suspect in the case. The next step was to alert police officers all across the state. They sent out a message to let everyone know that they needed to be on the lookout for the white 1999 Chevrolet Silverado that Lopez had stolen. They hoped this would help catch Lopez as quickly as possible. Late on June 2nd, a deputy sheriff in Atascosa County spotted a pickup truck. The license plate matched the one from a stolen vehicle linked to an escaped inmate, Gonzalo Lopez. Officers began following Lopez, but they were told not to move in yet. They waited until he got closer to the town of Jordanton so more police could help with the arrest. As Lopez drove down the highway, police laid spike strips across the road. These strips punctured all 4 tires of his truck, but Lopez kept going. He drove off the highway and through a field, trying to get away. Eventually, he entered the city limits of Jordanton. At this point, Lopez became more dangerous. He started shooting at police through the window of the truck with an AR-15 style rifle. He had stolen this gun earlier from a ranch. While shooting at officers, Lopez lost control of the truck. He crashed into a utility pole and smashed into a fence. After the crash, Lopez got out of the truck, but he wasn't done yet. He continued firing at the police officers. 4 officers returned fire, and they shot Lopez. He died at the scene. Thankfully, none of the officers were hurt during the shootout, though Lopez did hit the windshield of a police car with one of his bullets. After the incident on June 6, 2022, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice made an important decision. They announced that all inmate transports would be suspended. They wanted to take a closer look at their transportation procedures to make sure something like this wouldn't happen again. They wanted to figure out how to improve safety for both the officers and the public during inmate transfers. This situation was a reminder of how quickly things can escalate when dealing with dangerous individuals. The police worked together to stop Lopez, and even though it was a chaotic and risky situation, they managed to end it without any injuries to the officers involved. So there you have it. If you like this video, like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.